Pranam everyone, welcome to Chintan Manan. So, we are here again for an exciting episode. And today in our podcast, we are having Varnika Bhasin with us. So, Varnika Bhasin is living in Australia from 15 years and she is in IT sector. And currently, she is a project manager. And talking about her spiritual side, so she has done a lot of healing modalities such as angel therapy and numerology, astrology, crystal therapy, that's Mahavidya. And from 8 years, she is working in depthly on shadow work, which is going to be our topic for podcast. So thank you so much, Varnika, for joining in with us.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for such a beautiful introduction. And thank you for having me here.
So, Monica, it is actually a privilege to have you over here, and because you're working so much on shadow work, so there is one topic which is going around in my mind for a very long time, and we never generally speak too much about it, which is anger. So there is a quote which actually hit me hard. So no, it's quotes like anger is a mask which covers up your real feeling, such as maybe feeling powerlessness, or there is fear inside you, or maybe frustration is inside you. So basically, it is something, like anger is kind of way of dealing with emotions we have not actually processed with. So, do you agree with the statement?
I do agree with it. And there is a bit of more which I have reflected on it, Kavita, that yes, it is a part of we are trying to hide off our emotions through anger. It is also a part of a defense mechanism which people use. So, what is a defense mechanism? That you are trying to hide the main and the core issue and actually quoting or, just trying to make it look maybe not a pretty picture, I would say, in the case of anger, but divert it, the attention of people, so that people don't understand what is going on behind the mind of that person. So as an example, if you can take my last episode I saw in anger was my own boss. So he was really angry because there was a bit of documentation probably which did not get done, and then he was trying to make it look like that, it's something which he doesn't agree, he doesn't like it, that is really bad, you shouldn't have done this job. And that's when, I tried to understand that, there was a lot of things going on in his mind. And I reflected back that when you see a person angry, what is it? A person is hurt inside, something is triggered inside. That is why they are trying to project that same thing on you, so that you also get hurt or triggered in some or the other way and try to leave that person in peace. So what I did in that contrary response was I did not say a word. I understood what was going on. It wasn't at all about the issue what he was trying to project and make it like, but there was layers and layers of complexities which were going around. So that is when, when such kind of emotions play in our real life as well, we need to understand, stop ourselves and think, okay, yes, this person who's sitting right now in front of us, maybe our husband, wife, or maybe, somebody really close to us. And if they love us so much, why are they trying to hurt us? What's wrong with them? There must be something bad, really happened with them. And that's gets easier for the other person to respond in a way they are able to forgive it. Otherwise, what happens? One person is angry, the same infection goes around because it is infection, I call it. The same thing, the same emotion just transfers around to you, and then you also are angry. And you are, there could be any sort of situations. To diffuse the situation, one person has to be in awareness where they understand, okay, fine, they are angry, but they're trying to hide something behind that anger. And when you have that courage to actually provoke or, ask that person nicely, provoke is, sorry, not the right word, but ask that person nicely that tell me what's wrong with you. You are not telling me the real emotions. Tell me there's something wrong. That's when the person actually breaks down and tell you their real side. That is what we call as vulnerability, है ना? And the vulnerability is actually the invention where actually you get the scope of different emotions to again, open up. So then you ask the person, okay, tell me what happened. Did you fight with your wife, or did you just had a very bad day? Did you actually got a bad scolding from your own boss? What is going on? That is how the story plays up. But what we see actually is just the word anger. That is highlighted. And then we think, okay, that person is angry. Let's leave him alone. Let's leave that person in their anger and just, yeah, just do our own thing. Let that person be mature enough, adult enough. But this is the beauty of relationships, when at least one person is mature enough and they're in their awareness and consciousness, they have worked on the emotions themselves, when they have confronted their anger and they have sat with that feeling of anger, shame, and guilt. Because anger doesn't come alone. Anger comes then, you do something really bad when you are angry. As an example, you are angry, Kavita. What you'll do, you'll shout on your daughter. Later on, what you'll do when the episode gets finalized or finished off, you'll sit back and think, oh my God, poor child, what have I done to her now? She's such a beautiful soul. She was
Totally
such a
agree.
nice, yeah, what have I done? Then what happens? You are playing that game in your head. You are again going on to that shame and guilt, because I said anger doesn't come alone. Then it comes with the other lower vibrational emotions. Then you play around, and then you again live that situation, and then you actually punish yourself for a very long time. Then when your daughter or somebody else comes to you, then again you are, because you haven't processed your shame and guilt properly, you will project the same feeling again. So this is a vicious cycle. One anger episode leads to another, leads to another, unless you stop back and actually think and reflect that this is not actually anger, there's something else going on, some triggers, something else have done. So, yeah, that's what I feel like, for particularly anger episodes, that there are multiple layers towards it.
So, while you're talking, I can understand
Yeah.
them. That means that, the person who is angry, he is in a suffering
Yeah.
mode.
Absolutely. I tell this to people, Kavita, they are victims of victim. When a narcissist person, narcissism is such a big thing on the internet. You talk about it. Oh my God, label that person as a narcissist. Are you a narcissist? I mean, yeah, but look at the narcissists. Okay, fine, they're monsters, but they are victims of victim. Who made them like that? They are one of the people who existed in this society. And we somehow have been playing a crucial role in making that person who they are. You would like to think, I'm not responsible. They are matured enough. They should take their own responsibility. That's good enough to look at it. But unless and until you actually acknowledge it, take the, ownership and responsibility, you cannot improve the relationships around you. That is the main key. So when people say that, okay, that person is angry, they are actually suffering inside. Oh, there is a quote in Hindi, they say, no, that even in Chinese, they say that, when you are angry and you are then revengeful, then you are actually digging two graves. Two graves is what? One of that person, just go like, you have to punish, and one for yourself as well.
Yourself,
So,
right?
yeah. So it is a very beautiful Chinese saying, and they are right, absolutely right. We should learn from our ancestors what they say, that if you are angry, never take decision. If you are heightened in your emotions, too much in love, never take a decision. They're right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Settle down. Yeah, then only you can actually think that they think and see the things really.
But when anger
So,
comes, it's
mm,
like just
mm,
in a blink of
yeah,
second. You
yes,
can't understand what to do. You just react, and then you reflect that, okay, what have I done? So what can
this
you do
comes,
at that
yeah.
point of time?
This is what you're talking about is a genuine scenario in everyone's situation when it comes with lots of practice. It doesn't come in one day. If I say to you that Kavita, you'll be a transformed person, I will, as if put some mantras on you or do some magic. No, no, no. It comes with lots of practice and your own internal zeal, or say that internal willpower to change yourself, to actually respond in a different way. When you think about it, internally, what you are doing is you are entangling yourself in karmic relationships, one karma after another. When you understand this pattern, that, what am I doing by all this manipulation, drama, anger, fear, all these games which I'm doing, what is it the byproduct or the end goal where I'm seeing myself? The end goal is you will again come back to the karmic cycle and entangle yourself into the same thing, either in a different role, either in a different soul group, but exactly the same vibrations, because you have never resolved that thing in past, isn't it? That is why
Very
they say the
hard
patterns
actually.
repeat.
The karma cycle, oh my
Ah,
God.
yeah. That is why, in Hinduism, they always tell you, bhai, like whatever you are doing, na, be aware of the karma. There's somebody watching you. Um, Even if there is not somebody outside, you don't believe in God, you will suffer with your own shame and guilt because you have not resolved your emotions inside. So it needs to be a lot of practice. When you've asked me that, in flick of that moment, a lot of things happen, this thing happened. But understand, Kavita, as an example, if you are sitting right in front of your boss or right in front of somebody who's a very, a person like, who can impact you in a very huge way with a very high power or influential people, you can't be angry with them, isn't it?
No, yeah.
Then why do you think that you have the right to be angry with the people who really loves you and you think they are triggering me? Because it's easy to blame them. They love you unconditionally, they will accept it. So that is the main thing. People have changed their perspective. They're trying to be nicer, wearing that mask, very good mask outside, trying to be excellent with others, but look at their own family things. What do? So I would say the best response, if you're really angry and you don't know how to process it, uh, ask for a timeout, as we say. Kids say timeout, ask for a timeout. Disconnect yourself from that situation, disconnect yourself from that environment, that vibration, and then process it, come back after 5-10 minutes, then tell the person that okay, probably I've reflected back and this is what I think, that maybe your anger or the things how you have said to me during that conversation have hurted me, because it's all about communication. If you block your communication, your expression, then somewhere in your body it will get manifested, either in the form of anger, either in the form of a physical disease, either in the form of suppression. Something will definitely happen because you have blocked that flow.
But this is a good
So
point, communication. So yeah, we somehow, block it. Actually, we don't want to share that I'm angry because of this reason or because of that reason, or I don't want to show my vulnerability to the
yeah.
other people
And why is that, Kavita? Tell me, why don't we want to show them our vulnerable side?
because we don't want to show our weak side that, okay, I also have this, maybe I have not processed that emotion still that, okay, I can be an angry person.
There is a bit of, we want to be their heroes and heroines in front of them. We don't want to show them that what took us there, isn't it? Because if you look at our parents, like, in Indian household, if I talk about, when we were growing up, we used to, ask our parents, okay, sometimes, financial issues and happen in the family. You ask your mother and father, what's going on? Why do all of a sudden, I have been instructed not to buy such things, like, tell me. And the parents are, it's none of your business, you don't need to know, because you're very small to process it. That's what it has been told to us, isn't it? So this all comes down, when you actually go in depth with your shadow work, it comes down to your childhood processing, how you were trained. It's not that you are acting this thing because you have just seen in a movie and you just love that scene and you are trying to enact it. No, 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 it's your mental conditioning. Understand, my dear, it has been conditioned to your mind right from your childhood that, we should not tell this to our children. It's like really heavy for them to process it. Now I live in Australia. I look at the kids here, they're very matured. I enjoy talking to kids here. My best conversations are with the kids because first, they do not have any filters. They do not have the barriers of thinking who's right, who's wrong. If they don't like you, they will be very honest upfront to you, give you the feedback right in front. And if they don't like your vibration, they will just walk out. They won't even, sit with you, and they, because they don't know people pleasing. It's just our adult self. We know that, what people pleasing is. They don't know. So they will come to you, they will ask you, okay, you're my friend. What is the transaction? Are you giving me food, money? Are you giving me good things? What? That sort of. And that makes me realize that, how transparent and open relationship it is. We laugh about it right now, but it is what how people should be honest with the things. And that's how we will be able to actually remove those barriers of acting and wearing mask in front of everyone. ठीक है, some positions, some places, they do need a decorum, they do need a position, they do need a roles and responsibility and mask of that, but doesn't mean that we carry on to our house as well, doesn't mean that we live in that role for such a long time, because we forget about ourselves then, our ego self is playing so much, we just recognize ourselves only as a mother, as a wife, or as that employee only. So
Ego
it
self,
is how,
good
yeah.
word, yeah. So what is this ego self actually?
So ego self is like basically what you define yourself as.
Oh,
Example, your position, your title, your name, um, your what am I wearing, what am I at, like every damn thing. Wherever you are recognizing yourself with this body is, it's basically ego self.
so we all have that ego self.
We all have that ego self, and it is sometimes acting in favor as well, because if we did not have sometimes that separation, tab to, like everybody would be the same. Like it's hard to separate
Right.
out who does what and what is happening. So everything what I feel like is made in the universe, there's nothing they bad as such, we say. We should know when to use the things as our weapons, as our defense mechanisms as well, and when to actually discard them. So that discernment is very much necessary. That vision should be clear.
So, Vanika, the shadow work which you are talking about, that we need to work on our shadow. So, I don't think everybody has the courage to, go that deep into their self and recognize that if I'm having anger, I might have shame and guilt. So, what to do in this situation?
So, unfortunately, Kavita, there is no shortcut to it. If you ask me, there is no one word answer. This is a journey everybody has to go through. And this journey, I can tell you what the end product is. This journey helps you to own the parts you have discarded for such a long time. As an example, my parents used to tell me, like now you're talking to me, I had this label on me. My parents used to tell me she's very angry person. And
Yeah,
yeah,
labeling.
so that was a label. And when I reflected back on it, I thought, okay, let's just hang on, sit with it. Maybe I was an angry person, or maybe I reacted, in that way. But what was the reason towards it? Why? And I was, for a very long time, what I was doing is I was living that label only, Kavita. In every relationship, everywhere, in every conversation I have. If I didn't like something, I would react in angerness only. That was the only reaction or response I knew because it had worked in past. So what shadow work did for me is I confronted that emotion. I looked myself bare naked in the mirror, eye to eye, and saw myself, okay, that label served me really well for this long time, for this reason. Now tell me, how long am I going to carry this burden of this label? And what is it healthy for me? Is it going to do something really productive for me for a long time if I keep doing this thing?
No, it is
So,
actually harming.
yeah,
It is
yeah.
harming you
And
basically more than others.
absolutely. And these are the confronting questions which you have to sit and ask yourself. And there's no right and wrong answer, to be honest with you. There's no right and wrong ways as well, I'm saying. But you have to be very patient, ask these questions to yourself, keep asking, keep provoking, keep going layer by layer, asking yourself, why did I react this way in this episode? As an example, if you say that, I lashed out on that person, then you ask yourself, did I lash out on that person because they were less influential or maybe less powerful than me? Did I do this because it felt good in that moment? Did I just do that because it was my defense mechanism or my displacement that I just did not want to confront it? You have to be very, very transparent to yourself. Not, it's like a journal that, you are writing. And that is a, very personal journal which you are reading. And then when you read it, you confront your good parts, you confront your bad parts. That's when you become whole in yourself. Because this is what has happened since childhood. We have been so much conditioned in the society belief systems and things. We, if we think, aren't we living somebody else's dreams sometimes? Aren't we? living somebody else's creation sometimes, their own imagination. Because my parents wanted me to become this, now I am this. ठीक है. Now you have become that person. Now tell us who is happy. Is your parents really happy or you are happy? It was just flick of the moment. So, shadow work is then that what tells you that there is nobody in this world you can be attached to, and still you can love them from a distance as well. So that is like, the detachment, the real self will come out. What I say, not the ego self. Then what you'll do, you'll not play the victim card anymore. You'll not say those powerless words that, oh, okay, yeah, the same thing, I'm the same. It's okay. It's not okay. Let's confront it. It's not okay to be like that. There could be some other alternative ways as well to react to the same situation. So that's where, the shadow works helps you to confront yourself, to, open yourself first, and then actually make yourself the whole.
So this victim card, you have raised a very good point, I have seen personally also, and others now have started observing that, we like to play a victim card, seeking sympathy. Oh, mere saath aisa hua. Oh, this has happened to me. And others also, I'm suffering from this problem, or I have this physical problem. So is this because of the powerlessness we feel, and, we are not able to
No, no,
accept?
no. It is a very easy ticket to get accepted in the society, na?
And
है
actually,
ना?
most of us are doing that.
If you reflect on it, isn't it easy to be accepted? So, in a crowd of 5 or 10 people who are whinging about one issue, and you are the one, want to join the conversation, what is the easiest way? Oh, yeah, I have also seen
Right.
that thing. Aha, right. I also know it about it. Whether you have lived it or not, whether you have actually, you believe it or not, but when you have said yes, I also, that means there is a code word in the society. I also means you are part of it. That that victim card gets you an easy entry around people, around the situations, around the groups. And the person who is not trying to play the victim card is generally the one who is sitting alone in the club party or whatever.
Oh, I
Because
totally
and people
agree.
think, oh, and people think, oh ho ho, there's something wrong with that person, poor soul, a lot of thing has happened. Yeah, really. That is, when you say that there is a mirror, when you poke your finger like this around to somebody and blame them, that's you. There are four fingers which are pointing to you as well, and
Right.
you don't realize that. So basically the short word is that victim card gets you a shortcut, easy ticket to get accepted in that situation, in that particular episode where everyone is being playing that card because it is easier. You don't have to put any effort now after this. Once you say, "Oh yeah, it happened with me as well," topic end, finish. So if it happened to you as well, what are now we supposed to do? Are we going to just, keep on repeating that story, or somebody is going to come and break that cycle?
I
So
guess we
that
have to
is where,
be the person who breaks the cycle.
and it takes courage. See, for everything, na, it takes courage, Kavita. It's
So
not
what is,
easy,
yeah. Hmm.
easy to say that.
So what is, the opposite of victim card? Like becoming a hero in your own life, or like, playing a victim and playing a warrior, you would say?
Taking ownership. If I
Ownership.
have to put it very simply, na, taking ownership. If somebody is saying this is really bad that this thing has happened, take ownership of it. What is your part in it as a society, as a person? What have you contributed towards it? So, as an example, I'll again give you my office example because I have very small relationships around me to play around with. So, in our office, one person did lash out because of something, and we all were actually wrong at that time because we went late on their meeting, and they lashed out, and they were very angry, and everyone was, "Oh my God, what have we done?" And I said to the person, "I really apologize that because of us." You went out of your character and something provoked in you, triggered in you that you had to lash out on us. This was really bad. I think we'll work on ourselves and probably try and not repeat this again. And that moved that person. He changed the perspective and he said, okay, fine. Yes, this thing did not happen the right way. Even I should not have lashed out. When you are honest with the people, you tell them honestly that, this is my responsibility as well. Other person, they are not fools. Trust me, they're very intelligent humans, everybody else. And they then take their own responsibility. But you have to be the first one to take responsibility, because the other person, as there were other people as well in the room. What were they saying? Oh, it's very human to lash out. I said, no, it's not. It's not human to lash out like that in the environment. I think we have provoked him, we have triggered him such a way that this kind and nice, gentle soul was all of a sudden, lashing out on us. So it's better to take responsibility, and that's when you get out of that victim mentality. Later on, stages are you become warrior, heroes, and whatever. But let's start small, just to take responsibility first.
Okay, good point. Okay. So, taking responsibility is the first step, you would say, starting to deal with our own emotions. So, like anger,
Absolutely,
yeah, fear is also an emotion, like a side that we don't want to accept. So, anger can be because of the fear.
anger is because of the fear. It is one of the fear which has manifested as anger. What is fear of unknown, basically, sometimes. So you become angry, as an example. Let's take it as an example, which is coming to my head, is a very, small kid going to a preschool. And he or she hasn't been to preschool, and it becomes really angry with the parents to leave them alone in the preschool. They fight with them. They're angry. They are in tears. And when you go and pick them up, for few days, they are still angry because you have broken their comfort zone.
Right.
And they had the fear. The intense fear was what will happen. Here, I was protected by my parents, a vulnerable child. Here, I was protected and under the shelter of this house. I was given food. I was nurtured. And all of a sudden, you are sending me to a preschool with all the other kids who will bully me, who will do this. There's so many unknowns, isn't it, Kavita? So many unknowns playing up in the market. And then what happens? The poor child doesn't know how to react. His vocabulary is also, when we say child's vocabulary is less, even our vocabulary is not that developed in emotional side, honestly. Nobody has worked on it. Do you
We
agree with
don't
that?
want to process our emotions.
No, not just that,
It's
our
like,
vocabulary
if
is so
I'm
less.
feeling sad, I would go and have
Uh,
an ice cream and I'm done with it. That's it. Maybe I will go to
this is what I
parlor
was.
and do some, self-care. That's it. For me, that is my self-care and I'm done with it.
यही our vocabulary is that limited only. जितना पढ़ा like किताबों में, like the books and all. Let's go for a nice bath, nice shower, soak ourselves, read a book. This is our thing. And I'm not saying it's wrong. It could be in that very moment. That's what probably you need. But we have to definitely work on enhancing our emotional vocabulary, emotional intelligence. Being vulnerable, people think is a bad thing. Being vulnerable, people think it's a sign of weakness. Being vulnerable is not something acceptable in the society because they will discard you. That's what we are here to change the definition of vulnerable. Vulnerability is actually a strength. Not everybody can have that. We were shown the leaders and the heroes in the past, like, you become like Bhagwan Ram. He's the hero. He is. But look at his vulnerable side as well. It has beauty in it. So much depth of emotions. He was confronting his emotions all the way along the journey when he was trying to find his beloved wife, Sita. So, this is what? It's vulnerability. The most powerful and strength, showing characters can only depict this side. That's what I feel. And definitely, I
Vulnerability.
wouldn't want vulnerability. Yeah. And I wouldn't like to actually be around with a person who would like to say that I'm always 100% good. I am always this. And I'm like, are you a robot or a human being? Seriously. So, that's the first question in my head then. But yeah, so I'm sorry, we sometimes, get diverted with the topic, but there are so many interesting things coming up from, this conversation that I feel like it's just flowing with the flow, how it is.
Actually.
Yeah.
I think like,
So
is it vulnerability where we find our strength?
it is vulnerability only where you find your strength. When you become vulnerable, what you do, you expose your weak side to a person. And that is when actually you realize that the other person is worth your friend or actually just, trying to fake around with you. And that is a very good test and very confronting as well, Kavita, because I have lost many people during that vulnerability test only.
Okay.
So, if you want to really test who is your friend, who is your enemy, try and become a bit vulnerable with them. That's when you will know that that person is actually trustworthy or not.
That is where I
Because,
think, most of us stop. Even myself, I
yeah,
stop there because I find that, people will not accept my vulnerable side. So I block it over there.
and look, when you said I stop myself, that I think people will not accept my vulnerable side, this is one blockage we have put on ourselves first. We are not even letting us become vulnerable. We are not using the power of our heart anymore. We just want to use the power of brain only.
This is so
The
deep.
society, yeah, society has become so logical. It has operated in such automated ways to act with people, discard people in such a short duration that we just don't want to actually tune in into our heart and understand what's going on.
So basically,
This is
somehow
why,
I'm blocking my heart also.
yes, yes, you are. Definitely. Why is a child very vulnerable? Because they operate from their heart. They don't know right now what the ego self is. Their ego hasn't even developed that much. Their ego is only this much. If I play, I win. My mother is laughing at me. That means I've done good thing. My mother is sad at me. I have not done a good thing. That's it.
Right.
है ना? हाँ, so their ego self is not developed and not that complex like ours. Not that, so many barriers they have placed yet. That is definitely that you're blocking your heart if you're not becoming vulnerable.
This is a
And
good point that you said, that
yeah,
exposing your vulnerable part, you can see how many relationships actually is true for you and who are the real people, in your life. This is something
and
I
this is
think we all can try.
definite. And I think if you want to take away one thing, you should try little bits of exercises, from this and try doing these things little by little and see what's working, who is actually your real people. Open your eyes towards it. Understand, where you are investing your energy, your time, because your energy, your time is so precious. Money also you can get it back. You will do a hard work, but time and energy, how will you get it back? You have to earn it yourself. So, you got to understand, and that is what it will help you with. So, yeah, being vulnerable, I think, is a key strength. These days, all leaders I look upon, if they are vulnerable, they are really great leaders in my eyes. If they are not vulnerable, that means they are missing the human aspect. They are just showing us the robotic aspect, which is their mind only. I'm very strong. I take smart decisions. I do this. Yeah, fine. You're paid to do that. Nothing extraordinary you are doing. Show me something extraordinary. That is, come back to your human self. This is so basic, na, Kavita. Like, our ancestors, and, they were such great leaders. They used to be, if you look at it, they were taking care of the whole household and everything so nicely, as if, like, because they were so open and honest with everything. You talk to your grandmother, grandfather, and the, back ancestry like that. My grandmother was actually my best friend. We were very open and honest with each other. And just imagine 4 or 5 year old child has a best friend of 60, 70 years old. Like, that is how I started my journey.
Okay.
So yeah, very, very wise people, had been very fortunate with actually, they brought me up in with such good values and things in the society. So yeah.
Okay. Very interesting session, I would say. So, what is the one thing you would like to tell to the viewers, on working with anger? What is the first step we need to take? Just in one word or two words, like one advice you would like to give to the people.
The best advice I would say is when you're angry, accept your anger first. Do not project it on people that easily. Say that to yourself for a second or a 2 second in that episode. I am angry. This is a recognition. You have to give it to yourself because otherwise you are so much swayed up in that emotion only that you flow with the flow, and then another episode happens, then another
And you
story
realize
has
it
changed
later.
their whole
Yeah.
angle. The story has whole, like changed the whole episode only, and then you thought, oh my god, I never thought about this thing, I actually did not want this to happen this way, but how come we have landed up into this situation now?
Totally
So
true.
awareness. First step is awareness. And awareness comes in, you accept it. That's what probably I would say. Mm,
So there are two A's, awareness and acceptance, which is the first step we need to take towards anger.
absolutely.
Okay, so before ending the session, let us do something interesting. So there is a rapid fire round around this. So I would give one word and whatever comes to your mind, the first thing. So just pop it out. So let's start.
Let's start it.
Okay, thoughts.
Habits, actually. Because to me, the thoughts will definitely form my habits.
Okay, all right. Emotions.
Vulnerability. That's what came to me. I think right now, because I am so much into vulnerability zone. So that is why, that is the one. Yeah.
Okay, anger. That is our topic, so why not?
Anger is, I feel like displacement. Like, you're trying to displace, just say, like, there is a main issue going on and you're trying to get your attention away from the main issue and displace it to some other issue. Displacement.
No, beautiful. Fear.
Mm. What was that?
Fear.
Fear. Unknown.
That is so true. I can
Because
totally resonate. Yeah.
Yeah, because to me, fear has always been unknown. As an example, when I came to Australia, there was lots of fears. Okay, and those fears were definitely some were excitement as well when I realized, okay, I'm going to move on to a different country. Oh my God, there would be a new house, new friends, everything. And then there was a lot of fear, unknown, like a preschool kid going to a new school. How will I survive? I will not have a society, the community, the this and that. So it's all unknowns to me.
Grief.
Grief, sadness, a lot of sadness, when is cluttered in and blocked your heart, that's when you start grieving about this thing, something which has been lost. You haven't fully accepted actually the whole episode.
Yeah.
Because the moment you have accepted the whole thing, yes, this was maybe my fault, this was that fault, but it is what it is. Mainly people grieve loss of relationships. And loss of relationships, it could be death, it could be just a breakup as well. And that's a cycle when they go into grieving. So, what do you think? A lot of sadness coming into your heart, and then you think about it, and you are in the present moment all of a sudden, and you think, okay, fine, that person is no longer in my life. What do I do now? It is what it is. So that's when, your mind is like, okay, let's move on to the next stage. Let's do whatever needs to be done to actually survive. Or because humans, as humans, are such a, interesting species, I would say, Kavita. We have so many ways to survive. Like, I was talking to somebody here that day in the office, and they were saying we as humans were not supposed to survive more than 50, 60 years of age. But we have developed medical sciences. We have put so much, things, investigation on our health, do this, how to survive this body even more. And then we say, oh my God, it's old age. Now I'm suffering. So, as human survival mechanism is so hard. So it's very interesting. We are our own suffering.
Actually. Okay. Happiness.
Happiness. Very interesting, actually. Today, even I was, this is funny, but I was reading this book, which is called a Happiness Bible.
Oh, wow.
So, in this, even I am exploring the actual meaning of happiness. And this is a very beautiful book, by the way. It's just telling us, I think this lady has interviewed around 40, 50 people and has written some 14 practical guidebooks. And she had talked to a lot of successful people and found the meaning of happiness from them. And the definition I was reading, like, few pages I have said, they change. Happiness definition change from perspective to perspective, people to people.
Okay.
Some people find happiness in serving others. Some people find happiness in life purpose. Some people find happiness in day-to-day achievements. Some find happiness in long-term goals. All that is different. So I think it is subjective.
And
People
what
depend.
about you? Where do you find your happiness? One word like which comes to you.
My creativity.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Right now creativity is giving me lots and lots of happiness because it's such an unexplored zone of mine that I stopped doing it when I was a child, and now again I've got time to go back and reflect all those moments, so it's beautiful. I'm loving it.
So I hope you explored more of your creative side.
Yeah, definitely.
And let's end this episode on the happy note. So thank you everyone, and thank you so much Varnika for joining in and for sharing so many insightful things about anger. And the most important thing to take away with us is awareness and acceptance is the first thing where we have to work upon. So the rest will take care, but first we need to bring awareness and acceptance and taking responsibility. So, and one more thing I learned today is communicating, expressing, okay, this is what I'm feeling. So, right, Monica?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kavita. This is such a beautiful topic and very courageous of you to even, take up this topic online because normally people are very skeptical to even talk about it. These are some of the emotions. Obviously, we don't want to confront it daily. We don't even want to look at it. Okay, fine, I'm angry. Let's go with it. But you had that courage to speak about it, to ask and, listen. So thank you so much for being there. Otherwise, this conversation wouldn't have happened.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Varnika. And I hope that, I can make such interesting podcast again with you.
Definitely. Would love to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.